Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Smart Money Sundays series. I do have a few pairs I want to go over with you guys this Sunday afternoon. As you all know, we had the U.S. presidential elections. Joe Biden was elected president. So we did see quite a bit of volatility this past week. Didn't really trade much on my own. Had a few setups, but nothing really came into fruition that I really like to see just because of the volatility. Kind of messed everything up. So doing some analysis this weekend, I came across some pairs I want to go over with you guys, starting off with the dollar index. So what we originally saw on the dollar index, and I'll just scale into the 4-hour time frame, was this accumulation schematic. Okay, so we had our selling climax secondary test, we had our spring, we never got that test. We pushed up higher and we came down. Now, I do believe this area right in here, this last sell before the big buy up, okay, that produced this spring, is definitely going to be met, definitely this week, probably tonight. We will test this region. Now, do I think that we can come lower? Absolutely. I don't think we are going to sustain above this level of price because higher time frame says we have this order region in here that we could possibly come into. Okay, so we pushed down, we accumulated, then we expanded. All right, so we have not had a retest of this sort of level down here around 90.00. We have a little bit more imbalance here, and you can just see with this crazy, engulfing candle on the weekly, I don't expect price to just immediately reverse from this level and go long. Now, if it does, that would be great. We have to close above this level to confirm bullish movement, or the bulls, kind of taking control over the bears. But right now we are so bearish, and I want to keep selling the dollar until otherwise seen. All right. So next one I want to go over Euro USD, and the reason why I think the dollar can still fall is because we still have to come up into this region. Now, kind of correlating it with the DAXY, we can see that the big zone down in here that I talked about a little while ago kind of lines up with Euro USD upwards target of this last order region. You can see we pushed up, reaccumulated, distributed, all right, and we fell. Never had that retest. Just straight selling in here, straight bear volume. So I do believe we can push back up into this region. If we are going to short off, I do think we have to come up into that region of price around 1.2300. All right, and we can see just like the dollar index, we had an engulfing candle following a prior engulfing. All right, so I do think the bulls are going to remain in power. And we can see on a lower time frame that we did sweep liquidity right in here before making a big move. All right, so really any pullback, probably sort of into this level here, this imbalance, any sort of pullback, you can see it kind of lines up with the 4-hour 50 EMA right in here, 4-hour time frame. All right, so if we can get a pullback into this sort of level, I will be looking to buy. Targets will be in and around the supply region here. We might see a reaction, but overall, I do think we will continue up into the big zone way up here, that big supply level. All right, so nothing pertinent at the moment, just kind of want to give you guys a general directional bias for the week ahead for these pairs. So I expect further upside on Euro USD. Obviously, we want to correlate with time and price. So if we do get some sort of liquidity run down in here, you see we have equal lows, push down sort of into this inefficiency region of price. We may come a little bit lower, but either way, I'll still be looking to buy. Even if we break and close kind of below this sort of region, I will be looking to buy sort of in this region of price here. Maybe retest of that mitigation level. All right, so really looking for rejections, looking for that sell to buy come London, New York session will be good to go. But again, nothing pertinent. And we do want to be very careful as volatility from the election could still be there to start the week. All right, but any pullback to continue long is in favor for me. The next one I want to go over is gold. So gold I really do like, and I do believe we are going to continue long on gold, not only because we're above the daily 50 EMA, but because we're so bullish here. We have no sign of bearish momentum at all. We can see that throughout this pullback, you can see this is just one big pullback, kind of like a flag. We see we broke counter trend structure. So what do we have? Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Failed to make that lower low, and we close as a higher high. All right, so any sort of pullback to continue long, breaking this counter trend as we did would suffice. So now let's scale in and see what we can find. Actually, before that, we are above the daily 50 EMA, looking very, very nice. All right, 4-hour time frame, we can see that the zone of price in here, previous support, 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 resistance, 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 resistance. So sort of in and around 1910 to 1915 is a favored buying region. So we had a push up, we had a pullback, we had another expansionary move. We can pull back down into sort of this region here. Kind of correlates to that 4-hour 50 EMA as well, imbalance in here. We'll be looking to take longs. All right, so that is gold. Next one I want to go over is GBP CAD. GBP CAD, we did have analysis on this last week. I personally did not trade it, but for those of you who did, who took our analysis, you guys are in profit. What do we do? Well, we're sort of in this channel here. And let me go to the higher time frame just to show you. I do believe that we have to come up into sort of this region of price here, because what do? We push down, we pulled back, taking liquidity in here, and then we fell. So a test of this sort of supply level is what I would like to see. If I go down to the 4-hour time frame, we can see that this 4-hour buy to sell, sort of in and around this level, has not been touched yet, and it happened to be at 1.7443. But 1.7450, we like to trade off of round numbers. So definitely want to see a retest of this level in here, that supply. We can see one drive, pull back, two drive, pull back, looking for that third drive into the high. If I clone equal size movements, kind of brings us sort of in and around that level. Okay, so I do want to see continued upside. The pound is quite strong. I do favor GBP USD going long as well, which I will go over next. But we can see clearly in here that this candle in here created this demand zone. All right, so we push down into that demand zone, creating another demand zone right in here. That's just a bigger demand zone. All right, so the counter trend here was broken. We pulled back. We didn't quite come down into sort of this region. We finally did. For those of you who got a wick entry, I do believe you got in at 1.7050. Was up a little bit, about maybe 100 pips or so. Let me check. Yeah, about 175 pips. Came back down. Stops were below the low, so you guys are good if you guys stayed in. If not, you got hit out break even, but you took some partials because if once you're up, at least a 1-to-1 or 100 pips or so, you got to take some off the table just to secure some profit. But anyways, we came back down. We actually tested and really fulfilled demand zone right in here, the mini demand. We came down, tested it, and then we're starting to move away. So really any sort of pullback to continue long is what I favor. Now, I would like to see price close above this sort of level here, close above this prior high. If we do that, the counter trend has been broken. Any pullback to continue long would be good. We can see that we could potentially be having inverse head and shoulders, something like that, for another continuation push to the upside into 1.7450. All right, so that is what I favor here. We'll be keeping an eye on this to start the week. All right, let me go to GBP USD really quickly. GBP USD, sort of the same deal. Okay, I do believe that we are going to continue long. I mean, the pound has been, quite bullish these past few weeks and these past few months, to be honest with you. We have not broken any counter trend structure yet. All right, we still are bullish here. All right, this is 2019 highs. All right, so from January 2019, that was the high. This was the high of this year, 2020. I do believe, since these are relatively equal highs, that we are going to sweep the liquidity from these prior years. All right, so we are above the daily 50 EMA. We are looking to create another higher high. Pound is very strong, so let's continue to buy this pair. And the dollar is quite weak, so this would be a good pair to look to buy. We can clearly see in here that we had equal lows. Last week we came down, swept these equal lows, and made a strong impulsive move to the upside, pulled back. All this was due to the elections, but, going with technical analysis, we can clearly see higher high, higher low, higher high, looking for a higher low. So maybe somewhere in and around, really just anywhere in here, I would like to see. All right, so discounted regions of price, really getting back down into this 4-hour 50 EMA, this imbalance in here. I would see a pullback and then another continuation. All right, we do have equal highs in here, so we know we are going to go higher because we have to sweep those highs. So if we can get a pullback I will be looking for longs. All right, next one, I want to go over Euro NZD. All right, Euro NZD right in here. Okay, so higher time frame with Euro NZD. And we did not take a trade from here because I wanted to see the reaction, and we did get that nice reaction, and we broke counter trend structure right in here. All right, because higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Why did we stop in here? Because this was the last buying volume. This is where we distributed originally. Then we had a massive push to the downside, creating imbalance. All right, so this region right in here, that distribution region was retested, imbalance was filled. All right, created that supply region, tested that supply, and we fell. We broke counter trend structure. So any single type of pullback that we can find, now I would like to have it somewhere in and around premium pricing up into this last buy to sell candle, this daily open, or the 50% of that if we can get back up there. But that is asking a lot because that would be a deep pullback. All right. So in and around 1.7814 to 1.78865, I will be looking for shorts. All right. Now, I'm not saying we can't buy this. If we do get above this prior level here, all right, if we break it, any sort of pullback for a buy into this sort of region would be good, and then we can look to sell it. All right, so that's what I'll be looking for to start the week. Euro NZD. All right, next one is CAD JPY. CAD JPY is very interesting because we are still bullish on the Canadian dollar because oil, and I guess I'll just go over oil really quick, is still bullish. All right, this was sort of just an overall pullback. We came down into this last demand level here, tapped it, and we made a move. So I do think we have to come up to at least 44, price 44, because this is the last buying volume before the sell-off. You can see there's imbalance in here as well. Last buying volume. We never tapped that. We came to 43.72. I do think we have to come higher. And we could even come back up into sort of higher time frame levels around 49.41, around that 50 level, because we have yet to fill imbalance in here. And this was the prior support, all the support level. We broke it. We never turned resistance yet. So I do think we have to have a deeper pullback into sort of 44 to 50, that sort of level, and then potentially look to sell it off. All right. So for now, oil strength or oil bull would produce CAD longs as well. So anything to do with Canadian dollar longs, I will be looking at. And it kind of lines up because what do we have? Well, we had this last demand level in here that was tapped to start the week. I think maybe it was the end of the week 2 weeks ago. Tapped that level, had a strong reaction from it. We can see that we accumulated. All right, we accumulated in price and had an expansionary move. So this is sort of like a flag formation now. So I do expect just a little bit more of a pullback. If we can get back down sort of into 78.55 and into sort of this last selling region in here, I will be looking to take a further long. All right. We also, for an additional confluence, we do have equal highs in here that will be targeted. All right, so overall pullback, if I can just pull a fib from the low to the high here, kind of lines up with that 61.71 region, discounted levels. So we have liquidity resting above all these highs here. All right, so any sort of pullback into discounted regions, because this was our higher time frame level, we tapped that and accumulated around that level. So coming back down, any sort of pullback into discounted regions, maybe just testing the range of this accumulation box here, we can look for further longs. All right, so that is what I see on CAD JPY. Next one I want to go over, I already went over oil. I'm going to go over USD CAD. Oops, let's see, USD CAD, perfect. Okay, so as you all know, the dollar is quite weak still, and the Canadian dollar is strong because oil is looking very bullish. All right, so we want to definitely look to sell this. And an additional confluence to this, well, the weekly time frame engulfed the prior week's buys. All right, daily time frame, we close below this prior structure. So any sort of pullback, we're maintaining bearish structure in here. Okay, so this was merely just, an expansionary move, a pullback. This was just part of an expansionary move to the downside, maybe creating a pullback and then another expansionary move. So this in here, all right, we never closed above this region, so we're still bearish, right? Until if we have closed above that, then yes, we would have been bullish. But since we didn't, we're still bearish. We could still make a lower low overall. All right, pull back, expansionary move, something like that. Okay, so where am I going to be looking to sell this? Well, we have the daily 50 in here. So let's keep that in mind. All right, daily 50, I'll even mark it up. Right in there. Perfect. Okay, 4-hour time frame. We have lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So I want to see a lower high and then another lower low. So I don't expect price to come above that region. All right, we don't want to be breaking counter trend structure here. All right, so keeping that in mind, let's keep going down to lower time frames. And I believe 90 minute, maybe it was the hourly. Yeah, just somewhere really in here. Okay, we can clearly see that this is the pullback and this is the expansionary move. So pulling a fib whenever it decides to start to pull back, pull a fib from the high to the low, maybe in and around sort of this level here, we can see support, resistance in here. So this is sort of a zone that I will be looking at, maybe sort of in and around 1.32. Overall pullback into that 61.71 range, but I don't expect price to come any higher than this. All right, so maybe if we pull up a little bit higher into here, sort of filling up imbalance, that could be a possibility. Maybe having multiple entries, so maybe in and around that 61.8, and around that daily 50, maybe the last buy before the sell. Somewhere in there, we can be looking to take shorts. Or we can simply do is just wait for that counter trend break. You know what I mean? You just break the counter trend this way, right? Pull back and short off, stops above this high instead of above this high. All right, creates a better risk to reward. So I will be looking for price to slow down in sort of this region of price here. The daily 50 is right in here. So by the time this pulls back up into sort of this region, 1.32, the daily 50 could be back down into here as well. So it could just be a retest of that for a short off. All right, so continued shorts are expected for USD CAD. All right, the last one I want to discuss with you guys is NZD-JPY. NZD-JPY looks really good, actually. We are still bullish on this pair. We did sweep equal highs to start. Yes, we did, but we never created a lower low. Okay, we kind of created relatively equal lows that was swept with this singular wick in here. All right, now we do have a gap. You can clearly see the gap between prices, these two price regions, that has not been filled yet. This push up did not fill that gap, so I do think we have to come higher. Well, what else do we have? We have relatively equal highs. We have relatively equal highs. So all that liquidity is being built up for a massive push to the upside, in my opinion. All right, so what do we do? Yes, we do have equal lows here, and that will be taken once sell side comes in, but right now we're still bullish, so we should only be looking for buys. So what do we do? Swept liquidity here. We have that push down, that expansionary move. All right, so now what I'm looking at here, we push down into this region. Now, I didn't buy this because technically we're still bearish here. Even though we took liquidity, we never created a higher high. We never closed above this region here. All right, so this could still be a lower low opportunity. Well, we had a reaction from this 4-hour imbalance. You can clearly see in here. 4-hour imbalance was filled. Okay, we kind of accumulated in price in here. Selling climax, secondary test, spring, had that test of this last demand level in here. All right, tested, expanded. All right, so where am I looking to buy? Well, there's really no clear buying area. There's really no candle to play off of, but we can see that on a higher time frame, there's a little bit of an imbalance right in here. You know, if we can get down into these lower discounted regions of price, taking all the liquidity here, you know, taking liquidity here, 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 having that last push, and then an expansionary move to take these equal highs, and then these equal highs up in here. All right, so where am I looking to buy? Well, let me just get rid of all this junk. Here we go. Okay, well, what I simply did was this accumulation region from the spring. All right, so from the push from the spring to the low to the high, I pulled just a fib. So from the high to the low here, 50% of that, of this range, lines up with 69.2850. So any sort of pullback, maybe back down into that region, could be looking for longs. What does that line up with? Let's see. From the low to the high here, around that 71.78 region of price. So that discounted region to be looking for buys, sweeping all the liquidity in here. The reason why I think this is good is because not only do we have the equal highs in here, but we also broke counter trend structure. It was broken. We closed above it. All right. We came back up, test it again, I do think we can pull back and then continue. All right, so that is all I have for you guys today. Nothing too pertinent at the moment. I'm going to be very careful to start the week because of the elections. We may have some additional volatility coming in to start the week from the aftermath of the election. So as always, if you have any questions, please let us know. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. In the meantime, trade safe, trade smart, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks.